A man runs in through the front doors. Runs in. In hospitals, there's like a unspoken rule of no running. Running concerns everybody. When you run, or when you see somebody run, something is going down. Somebody's lost an airway, somebody's lost a pulse, somebody's severely bleeding, something has happened that requires people to run. It's an emergency. 99% of my working life in emergency, we're walking, right? It's 99.99%, right? So when you see somebody run through the front doors, it catches everyone's attention. I'm a triage. I'm sitting there, assessing people. 99% of the people are just your normal run-of-the-mill type of presentations. No real concern, right? And then I see a guy in his 50s run through the front door with clear concern on his face and basically panic. So I quickly get out of the triage office, head towards him. There's a lineup, but I head straight towards him because clearly something is going on with him. He needs immediate attention. He says to me, I've got a lady in the front seat of my car unresponsive. This is not a unique type of presentation in terms of in the last 10 or 15 years that I've worked there. But it certainly is unique in terms of, if you were to statistically speak about the presentation types. When that happens, you get concerned. I looked over my colleague at triage and I said, let's go. She brought the wheelchair. I ran out to the car. It's the middle of the day, right? It's like 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I ran out to the car, opened the front door. He opens the front door. I have a look at the lady in the car. The lady's unresponsive. She's showing signs of life. So she's spontaneously breathing, but she's not rousing to voice. So then I proceed to apply painful stimuli. This is basically like a primary survey, if you will. If you're a medical person, you would understand what I'm doing here. I turned to the guy while I'm doing the trap squeeze, and I said to him, turn the car off. This guy had I don't know if you guys know this car, Grand Cherokee SRT8 6.2 litre Hemi. But it wasn't just a stock standard 6.2 litre Hemi. He must have had a full exhaust extractors, or at least a large catback. The car was so loud that even if I yelled at her, I don't think she could even hear. And that's another thing that concerned me. She's fast asleep, let's say, in a racket of a car like that. Guy turns the car off. I get a response from her with a very, very strong trap squeeze. She opens her eyes. She's clearly under the influence of something, or she's had a head injury. I turned to the guy and I said, who is she? Do you know her? What is your relation? He says, I've just found her on the street. I was driving my car, found her on the street. Now, these type of stories, that's always like a made-up story so he doesn't get into trouble or whatever. People think I'm a cop, we're cops in hospital, we're going to just lock him up or whatever. So they usually, when it's shady characters like these, they usually make up stories or whatever. I don't know, I just found her on the street. She looked like a working girl to me, and he looked like a working man, let's say, or a man that employs working girls. He just had that picture, right? Tats, bold, chains everywhere, all that kind of stuff, So colleague and I managed to rouse her sufficiently. She's only able to open her eyes for maybe like 4 or 5 seconds, and then if I let her be, she falls asleep, let's say again. Get her into a wheelchair, rush her into the resus. Eventually, as I'm kind of pulling her or pushing her wheelchair, I'm applying a lot of painful stimuli to her to keep her open, and so she breathes better and whatnot. Initially, she says that she was assaulted with a hammer. Then she goes on to say something along the lines of, I haven't had any drugs. I'm asking her, I'm telling her, I don't care what you've taken, but it greatly helps me to assist you. I don't care. I'm not a cop. I'm not going to lock you up. This is not what we do here. She mentions meth, GHB, weed. I hand her over to the resuscitation team. I head back into triage, and one of the skills that emergency personnel have is that in a very, very split second, we take a deep breath and we move on to the next case. That's what you have to do. You can't be carrying baggage from one patient to the next. You have to have the ability to just turn the page and go, okay, what is the next set of problems I have? Go to triage, hit the next story, and go from there. So I take a breath and I, head back to triage, take care of the line and whatever. When I had opportunity, something like an hour later, I would go back and check up on her, how she is. And then there was a period of calmness in ED, and I sit back and I started thinking about life in general. This is what I always do. I take some of these experiences and I try to apply it. I try to extract some sort of lesson from all of this. And then I'm thinking about my problems, right? Thinking about my last 3 days with the banning of the video, deleting of the video, and how that's made me feel. And I'm kind of reassessing with this story that I just went through with this lady. I'm kind of looking at from a perspective that's slightly different. These type of scenarios do change you, at least for the moment. Your energy changes. And I started thinking to myself, man, I have some problems, right? She has some problems. She's a lady that's in her 40s, on drugs, working, homeless. There was no address. She's just a homeless person. She was black and blue. Who assaulted her, I don't know. GCS or a consciousness level that's going up and down. That concerns us from multiple angles. First of all, head trauma. When you have a significant amount of trauma to the skull, to the head, there could be bleeding, there could be swelling that's impeding and making that person, let's say, sleepy. Ended up being that the GHB was mostly the driver of her consciousness, going up and down intermittently. But from my perspective, from the triage perspective, I don't just say, oh, look, it's the drugs. It could have been, a head injury type thing, and in which case, you need to have scans and whatever quickly. And so you tend to up-triage people that have had an assault and are sleepy. Those two things don't mix really well. That's a very alarming sign. Nursing has been an eye-opener for me. You meet people from all walks of life, from the bottom of the barrel, scraping the bottom of the barrel, like a lady like this. She's not winning in any department of life. She's just basically holding on. No love, no hope. And, look after people that drive Ferraris. A big spectrum. This is what makes me think about society. This is what makes me saddened that the social media that is out there, I'm going back to the same thing. This is why I'm kind of passionate about this. The social media, we need to be careful with it because it's affecting the next generation, and we don't want the next generation to end up like this lady. Obviously, there are many factors. Many factors. I am part of social media. So I have this responsibility to say my piece, to maybe steer the ship in a better direction. This is what I feel. So when I say things to you like, it's about the journey to the destination, not the destination, it's with the hope that you can see what life is about. It's not about that trend bottle, that steroid, that drug that's going to make you look better. It's not about that. It's about the journey. It's how are you going to progress as a soul, as a spirit, as an intellect. Taking shortcuts is not it. You're not going to have a journey by taking a shortcut. These pressures that we place upon the viewer when they see us pull 350, 5% body fat weighing 120 kilos, in a way, there is show off, look at me. But if you display it as, I've taken all these drugs to get there, it's not, I'm a natural, this is the program, this is the protein powder, like a business sense. That is a safe message. That's a safe message. But when there is deceit, when there is trickery at play, that's when I feel like we're affecting the generation, the next generation. And ultimately, as a father, as somebody that's part of social media, these kind of dots connect. The lady in the research room on all these drugs, working for the next dose of drugs, and the person that's tricking you into buying whatever thing that he's selling, I feel like there is a similarity in this. Right? One is dealing deceit and trickery, mysticism, and the other one is on the bottom of the barrel when everything is fallen. I look at that lady and I'm like, all of her reserves for love and hope are empty. And the person that is tricking the generation, tricking that non-informed viewer, is acting upon those reserves of love and hope and self-esteem. It's working negatively in those things. Rather than building somebody up, they're working negatively. And so eventually, life is hard. Life will hit you down no matter what you do. But if you have somebody that is working towards emptying those reserves, that is a negative influence. Right? That's a negative influence. This is why some of these things bother me. And, obviously, some people, go out of their way to criticize me and my thinking after watching one video, clearly not following me, understanding the full depth of message that I'm after. Very superficial look at what my message is. They criticize me, but I'm beyond all of this. I know how it feels to be entering fitness, entering life, being a young adult. I know how that feels. I know the anxieties of that. I know the worry. Am I going to be able to take that girl on a date? I know all of these things. And now I feel like it's so much harder because the norm is so much more extreme. The norm for what the acceptable body type now is extreme. And so now there's even less self-esteem. I had, let's say, normal self-esteem. But if I was to put myself back in 2020, or 2022, if I was 18 now, my basketball body type is not good enough. You got to have six-pack showing, shoulders bulging, this, that, the other. That's not good for self-esteem. No matter what you're doing in the gym, pumping the iron, day and night, does not matter. You're not going to get the results that some of these guys are getting enhanced. I'm not sure if I'm painting the picture correctly here, what I'm really trying to get across. But I can't help connect some of these dots. People with influence are very, very powerful. Very powerful. And I know what a person that has lost everything looks like. It's terrifying. It's terrifying. I don't know how some of these individuals go to sleep at night, knowing that they have tricked somebody, made somebody's life worse. I don't know how these people sleep. This is what's led me to the ban. This is what has led me to run along these lines. And I've probably spent way too much energy on the whole back and forth with YouTube about the intricacies of what's going on. It's probably my mistake for writing what I wrote. I think those words that I used in the title, I don't think they are a swear word. I don't think it's profanity. I think that's reality. That's what we see on the social media which they govern. But when I put a mirror to them so they can see what they're doing to me, they ban me. How about I ban you? All I'm really doing is putting up a mirror, man. That's all I'm doing, putting up a mirror. You're showing me that every time I log into these platforms. And when I do the same thing, ban. Are you serious, man? Are you serious? There is power there. And I absolutely hate, and it saddens me deeply, deeply, when I have to push in a lady on a wheelchair that is half conscious because of drugs. What has led to her to get to that position? People that have used her, abused her, didn't love her, tricked her. These are the people that make ladies like that in that position. If she had loving parents, loving friends, this thing doesn't happen. Truth. If she had truth, friendship, this wouldn't happen. Is this what social media is to us? I don't think so. A friend, a mother, a father, a brother, a sister, they don't lie, cheat, pull you down by showing you images which are unrealistic to attain. That's my problem, man. If you love me, if you care about me, you're not going to freaking trick me into $1 out of my pocket and send me down the wrong way. That's my problem. Appreciate you guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.